Hello, how are you today? Do you want to dive into a book that might just surprise you, whether it becomes your next favorite or one you might skip? Let's find out what readers are saying about it.
Nikki, who has 34 likes, says, "If I had this, I might yet lose everything. If I had this, I thought I could survive. The way that I devoured this book. I am always in awe of Samantha Shannon's mind. How she manages to craft such detailed world building will never fail to impress me." After an insane cliffhanger from The Mask Falling, we finally catch back up with our girl Paige, who can never catch a damn break. In addition to Domino, we meet new players on this convoluted chessboard that's quickly becoming crowded with many new enemies as well as allies. I thankfully was not as devastated as the last book. But there is certainly much turmoil in the Dark Mirror. We finally get a look at the free world, and it's quite fascinating to see how it's changed in contrast to Cyan. I was also really happy to have Maria back because she was such great comic relief throughout the book. You really do meet the most deranged people. Paige. Oh, Paige has done bolder things in her time. She possesses the loyalty of a beagle and the chaotic abandon of a headless chicken. Maria said, "It's a dangerous marriage. And of course I can't go without mentioning our star-crossed lovers." Shannon once again masters the pining and yearning of a war-torn, forbidden love. Arcturus will always rank at the top of my book boyfriend list, whatever part of my existence you have touched. Arcturus said, "Is the best of me." Paige Mahoney. For some, there is safety in stillness, in certainty, but you have ruined me for stillness. Paige Mahoney. And now I must impatiently wait for the next installment of this epic story. I am not just a dreamwalker, I said, my voice straining. I am a professional fucking lowlife. M, who has 18 likes, says, "Advance reading copy review of The Dark Mirror. The Dark Mirror, a Bone Season Novel 5, will be published in February 2025. The Bone Season 1 Awards nominations: the 2013 Goodreads recipient of the Best Fantasy Award, the 2014 Bounds Award for Best Newcomer, the first book in NBC's Today Show's monthly book club. Subsequent installments have received similar accolades. Just when I can't imagine this series intensifying more, Installment 5 comes along and blows my mind. Each new addition to this series proves to me all over again that this is the most innovative, original, beautifully written, most thoroughly researched, provocative fantasy series currently running. Yes, I love these books, all of them. But The Dark Mirror is one of the most satisfying of the lot. Fans, you are in for a riveting ride." Basic premise: Paige Mahoney, currently the Underqueen of London, hasn't been home to tend to the mime order in many long months. Unfortunately, that is not going to change any time soon. First, she must escape her abductors, recover from physical and psychological elements, and find Warden Arcturus, who has also been Mia. These tasks alone seem insurmountable given one quite large obstacle: Paige has lost her memory. Complicating things further, there's the matter of her ongoing contract with Domino, a resistance group which Paige needs as much as they need her. To fulfill her contract with Domino, Paige makes her way to their headquarters in Venice, Italy. In this all-new setting of gorgeous imagery and intrigue, Paige finds some valuable new allies and gains extremely concerning new intelligence. It seems that Cyan plans to invade yet another part of Europe. Domino knows that this must not happen at all costs. But how can Paige be any help to Domino? Any help in finding Arcturus? Any help to the Mime Order, or even to herself if she can't remember anything that happened during her abduction? A scattering of thoughts. Oh my goodness, it is difficult to write about this book without writing spoilers. So much happens. Fans of this series will go into shock at least 4 times. I had to temporarily skip forward multiple times because I couldn't stand the suspense of not knowing. Multiple times I feared the worst for multiple characters. This one is extremely exciting. Fans can also look forward to many revelations to coming to light. I will say once again that I am stunned by Ms. Shannon's gorgeous prose and perfect pacing. Her characters ring so authentically with readers because she always seems to know exactly how much to develop their motivations to support their interactions. Her writing is consistently exactly balanced. There's a new character, Verka, whom I especially loved getting to know. It's so impressive to me that all of Shannon's characters are so vastly unique. They are always so vivid to me that I never need to refer to the glossary included at the end. Though I appreciate having it, I have so much respect for the massive amounts of research which must go into each book. Shannon's depictions of Venice and Rome, both physically and culturally, are fascinating and so natural. She writes as though she must have lived in Italy, exactly the feeling I had when we were reading about Paige in Paris. Finally, the love of all loves. Arcturus and Paige and their golden cordy would love to scream my thoughts about this from the highest building. But then I'd spoil the book. I'll just say, fans, you are in for the best rollercoaster ride of the series to date. The ending is extremely satisfying. Unlike The Mask Falling 4, there is far less of a cliffhanger. And I appreciate that. I am still already in withdrawal and eagerly awaiting Book 6. But the ending of Book 4 caused physical pain. So thank you, Ms. Shannon, for the small reprieve. If any fantasy series could ever be perfect, it's this one. Now for the long wait until Book 6. Luckily, this is one of the few series one love to reread. I always find something new to think about, something I missed the first time. It's one of the perks of truly great, layered writing. Melissa Bookish Melissa, who has 21 likes, says, "Thank you so much to Bloomsbury for providing me with an ARC in exchange for an honest review once again. Samantha Shannon has done it. I am continuously in awe of her genius as a writer with each new book that I read by her, especially where the Bone Season series is concerned. I've been reading this series since 2013 and I've had the joy of seeing it grow and expand beautifully into a series that I hold as a standard for what a fantasy dystopia with an incredible slow burn romance mixed in series should be. The Dark Mirror in particular, I feel like, took this series to a whole new level. I said it after I read The Mask Falling and I'll say it again. Shannon has seamlessly grown and expanded the complexity of the world in these books. It's become such a far-reaching world that truly answers the questions most dystopias leave unanswered, and that is what's happening in other parts of this world. How are other parts of this world reacting, or how will they react? What will the consequences be? And I can't wait to see the cumulative of this as it comes to even more of a crescendo in the last two books. Beyond that, The Dark Mirror is one giant emotional roller coaster because of course it wouldn't be a Samantha Shannon book if it wasn't. That will have you going from rage to heart-wrenching sadness to happiness to swooning so quickly you won't even know which way is up or down. You'll just have to hold on for the wild ride that is Paige Mahoney's life. And you'll be cheering for her perseverance every single step of the way. And of course, thrown into the mixture of very high stakes and trauma, there's romance, character reunions, and a reminder that the Bone Season has one of the best, if not slightly dysfunctional, found families that I have ever read. There's a huge expansion of characters in this installment, and you may or may not meet someone we've all been wondering about since the first book. I don't feel like I can go into much more detail without accidentally spoiling something, as The Dark Mirror is the 5th book in this series. Just know, you're in for a wild ride, and if you're like me you won't want to put this book down for anything. As always, it was worth the wait, and I can't wait to see what is in store for us in the next book. I'll be sending you my therapy bill. Samantha, and if anyone is interested, you should definitely check out my Bone Season playlist. I've been listening to Fire Meet Gasoline by Sia non-stop while reading The Dark Mirror. 1,312,021. Alas. We're here again, a book hangover with many questions and the wait for the next one. Time to rewrite my old theories and come up with new ones while I wait. 3262024. The Dark Mirror. Don't mind me, I'll just be freaking out and obsessively checking Edelweiss for an advanced reader. From here on out, 782,024. The arc dropped on Edelweiss. You can best bet I am diving into this book ASAP. I can't wait. Kate Goody reads, who has 10 likes, says, "Thank you to Libro FM for the gifted audiobook. Worth the wait. Blog, Instagram, TikTok. Do you ever start a new book and immediately know it's going to be a 5-star? Because that's this series for me. I am obsessed with Samantha Shannon's writing and crafting of this complicated dystopian novel. While dystopian, I appreciate how fantasy it feels because I don't love dystopian books typically, and all of the magical points that make this series thrive. It's a beautiful continuation of the series that has me in a chokehold. The years waiting for this one delivered. Thank goodness. Everything is still heavily action-packed with mixes of political dynamics combined with a romance that I am hooked upon. I had the best time listening to this audiobook. I am heavily invested in this series, y'all, and I need more to read it." Overall audience notes. Dystopian fantasy language, mild romance. 12. Open door. The focus is more on the emotional aspects. Violence, high content warnings, torture, loss of life, large-scale bombings, war themes. Hannah, who has 7 likes, says, "Battling to recover her memories. Help Domino thwart Cyan's attempts to conquer the Italian government and put an end to her personal nemesis. Make that nemesis." The Dark Mirror is a fraught journey from the get-go for our beloved Irish dreamwalker. Thank you to Bloomsbury for the proof copy. All thoughts are my own, a twisting narrative filled to the brim with thematic imagery, foreshadowing concerning enough to curl your teeth, and symbolic references to warrant the red string to connect long-standing theories. The Dark Mirror is the juiciest, and arguably most satisfying, both emotionally and thematically, of the TBS series. This narrative truly is a mirror holding up parallels to Page's journey thus far, with sequences and encounters that are several books in the making, and which feel thoroughly worthy of the Greek myth retelling. This is labeled as, "We join Page as she continues to work with the Domino program, entering into layers and layers of espionage and intelligence operations in the free world for the first time. Uniting with old friends and new alike, Page must gather intelligence and put a stop to one of the most pressing threats that the rebellion has encountered yet. Another clairvoyant who has betrayed Page and who she believes represents her devil card. This quest will take her once more into the heart of the alliances seeking to bring down Cyan, with threats at every corner and the threat of Cyan closing in with every move that Page makes just the right amount of tragic and heartwarming. The Dark Mirror is the most expansive of the TBS books as we join Page in the free world for the first time, which adds a richness to the story that the other earlier installments were missing. Not to their detriment, but there is something immensely satisfying in joining Page as she sips a Schoenfree cup of coffee. And for those longtime readers who have been impatiently waiting for the next installment of Page and Arcturus' relationship after the devastating events at the climax of The Mask Falling, you're not going to be disappointed. While I consider The Mask Falling to be truly the pivotal moment for Page in the realization of the unshakably deep connection to Arcturus, I would argue that The Dark Mirror is the most romantic of the TBS books so far. And luckily, the author herself agrees. But it is not without its tribulations. Chapters 12 and 13 should come with a form for emotional damages attached to their reverse. The payoff is worth the suffering. however. And we are treated to some exquisite scenes of emotional connection and communication between our fate-crossed lovers. The Dark Mirror is one of the most complete of the Bone Season books yet in its character dynamics, its themes, and its plot. And it deftly balances complex and heartstring-pulling reconciliation and emotional connection with intense espionage as Paige delves further into the Domino program to put a stop to Operation Ventriloquist, the next in Cyan's attempt to gain control over the remaining free countries. Bold, brilliant and breathtaking. The Dark Mirror is a winding of tension springs as we get to the sharp end of this brilliant 7-part series. Read my full review here. Bookstagram, the 11th of February. 1 billion stars. No notes. There are in fact a lot of notes. This is quite possibly the most complex and juicy TBS installment so far in this essay. I will full review to come, but it will in fact be a monster.